How is it going, Bears fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Bear Down Podcast, where we talk everything Bears every day of the week. A sigh of relief for Bears fans on this Tuesday afternoon, as well as reasons to still be worried. The Chicago Bears have slapped the franchise tag on wide receiver Allen Robinson as expected per ESPN's Adam Schefter at about 2 p.m. Eastern Time this afternoon. While Robinson has been franchise tagged and is set to net $17.98 million in 2021, will that be in Chicago? Today, in episode number 225, we are going to be discussing the future of Robinson in Chicago, as it is still definitely in the limbo. Welcome back to the show, guys. I am your host, Chris Malpe. Do us a favor, guys. If you're new to the channel and want Bears content every day of the week, do us a favor, drop a like. If you're listening on YouTube, also subscribe and follow whatever platform you're listening on, whether that be a podcasting platform or on YouTube. Today, I am joined with all three of my co-hosts to discuss Allen Robinson getting the tag this afternoon. Below me, Parth and Jaylen McClinton, as well as Zach Rimbos to the right of me, guys. How is it going?
Doing pretty good. Excited about this tag. Yeah, there are some questions about it, but at the end of the day, there's nothing more you can be happy about it if the Bears brought back Allen Robinson.
Yeah, same here. Huge, like nervousness, finally off my chest, anxiety and stuff like that. Because I think the Bears were pushing it. You're seeing everybody get tagged, and like, what about Allen Robinson? So, it's the Bears. They like to drag stuff on for no reason. So, finally thankful to see. He's not guaranteed, but we have control of him now.
Yeah, I mean, at least he can't hit the free market at this point. At least there's a chance that he will return to Chicago. I think at the end of the day, that's some chance is better than no chance. But Zach, how's it going, man?
It's going good. Got classed in a little bit, but this is easily the biggest news of the offseason for the Bears in terms of real moves that the Bears have made. So not super happy about it because I'm still worried about the situation. I obviously want him back in 2021, but we'll talk about it. But other than that, doing pretty good. Just ready to talk some Bears and Allen Robinson. How's it going, everybody? Manscaped hooked me up with a bunch of tools and formulations from their Perfect Package 3.0 kit. I know we all have stories of trying to shave down there and perhaps nicking ourselves and bleeding, and it's not very fun, but not to worry with Manscaped. Manscaped has created the best ball hair trimmer ever, the Lawnmower 3.0. Their third-generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. I now feel confident shaving my boys. In addition, this trimmer comes with an LED light for a more precise shave and is waterproof to make your shower shave clean and easy. And don't use the same trimmer you use on your face as your balls. That's just nasty. The Lawnmower 3.0 comes inside their brand new Perfect Package 3.0, which comes with everything you need to keep trimmed, cut-free, and smelling nice down there. The Manscaped Perfect Package 3.0 also includes the Crop Preserver, an anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer. You already put deodorant on your armpits. Why are you not putting deodorant on the smelliest part of your body? And yes, your balls stink. Speaking of which, I am also thankful for their Crop Reviver. This product, along with the Crop Preserver, keeps your balls from sweating, smelling, and sticking. Manscaped also threw in 2 free gifts into their Perfect Package, one being a pair of high-performance Manscaped boxer briefs that'll keep your junk feeling fresh all day, and a travel shed bag to store all of your grooming goodies. Trim that junk of yours. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code BD20 at manscaped.com. You'll see it on the screen right now. Your balls will thank you. Once again, that's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code BD20. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Now let's get back into the video.
Yeah, let's get into it. So, as expected here, Robinson stuck with the franchise tag. He'll earn $17.98 million in 2020. 2021, the Bears will have until July 15th to work out a long-term extension with him. Not too confident that happens, considering there haven't been trade talks for months, according to Robinson's sides, in terms of a contract extension. The Bears are now $25 million in the hole for the 2021 salary cap, using the projection of $180.5 million per Brad Spielberger from Pro Football Focus. That puts them at 29th in the NFL, still without a starting quarterback on the roster. But let's talk about Allen Robinson. There's a lot to break down here. We could go on for days and days and days about this. But obviously now, heads turn to the Bears' quarterback situation. You would think that if the Bears can bring in the right quarterback, a Deshaun Watson, a Russell Wilson, who they've been in trade talks about with both, that they could keep Robinson in town. He also told Ty Dunny a couple of days ago that if the tag was applied to him, he could force himself into a Stephon Diggs type situation and force himself out of town. The good thing about that is that the Bears could get more compensation that they would get from a compensatory pick. You would think maybe a late first round to a second rounder could come in from Robinson, but also you would have to imagine that you would want to keep him in Chicago, especially if a new quarterback comes to town, maybe could convince him to sign an extension. So I guess just off the bat, Parth, I'm going to start with you. Where do you see this going in the future? I mean, there's a lot that could happen with the quarterback situation. You would assume right now the floor is someone like a Sam Darnold. The ceiling could be someone like a Russell Wilson or a Deshaun Watson. And it very much so impacts what's going to happen with Allen Robinson's future in Chicago. So how do you see this playing out? And do you see Robinson as a Bear in 2021?
I do. I think Allen Robinson is on the Bears in the 2021 season. I think the Bears tell him that they're going to bring in Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson. And if that happens, Allen Robinson.
I won't believe it until I see it, my man.
I feel you, but I really have hope that the Bears can, somehow get Watson or Wilson. There aren't many teams in the quarterback market who have as much as to offer as the Bears do, and
I don't even think it's have as much to offer. Are as willing to give so much up because of all these reports saying they're the most desperate to get it right because of Pace and Nagy being on the hot seat entering this year.
Exactly. If they got Watson or Wilson, Pace and Nagy are going to get extended. It's easily going to keep Allen Robinson. I think Allen Robinson would love to play with either of those guys. He's never played with a top 10 quarterback. So if you tell Allen Robinson that you're going to bring in either of those two, I think he would love to stay. If not, things could get ugly. I really hope not. This Bears franchise has been pretty good at keeping things on the inside and keeping things pretty clean, usually. But if things do get ugly, it's not a good look for this Bears franchise, especially because we're not a good team right now. If Allen Robinson leaves the team, we don't have any good players on this offensive side of the ball besides David Montgomery, and that brings a big question to this Bears franchise and the team in general, which probably gets rid of Pace and Nagy next year.
Yeah, I think it's a coin flip at this point. If I'm the Bears now, I feel like it's got to be Wilson or Watson or bust, unless you're trading up for someone maybe like a Justin Fields. But you know what? If you want to keep Robinson in town, you've got to get a quarterback in the room that is a Hall of Famer or someone that is bound to be great. This is the last chance for them to get it right. They can't mess it up. It's going to cost a lot to get someone like a Wilson or Watson, but in turn, it could get your number one wide receiver, someone who I think is a top 7, top 6 wide receiver in the league, to sign a long-term extension. So I think it really depends on how free agency and the draft plays out. We've seen the inside reports, Robinson saying that he would be willing to stick around in Chicago. We've seen the outside reports, Robinson also saying he'd be willing to do anything. He'd be willing to possibly force himself into a situation where he gets traded. So I really think everything's still on the table at this point. I'm happy that they did franchise tag him because obviously that gives them the chance until July 15th and after the draft, and depending on what happens with the quarterback situation, to be able to assign him to an extension or possibly further convince him to stay here. But this situation is far from over. So I don't think anyone can sit too comfortably outside of the idea that he obviously can't go walking now. So, Zach, I'm going to pass it to you now. There's a lot going on right now. It still seems like it's a very fluid situation. But do you think Allen Robinson plays in 2021 for the Chicago Bears after this franchise tag?
I am really split at the moment.
That's exactly how I am, too. I'm completely torn.
Yeah, like you said, everything's on the table, but you got to keep in mind he also wanted his money. He obviously said that he wanted to be paid top dollar. And so the Bears couldn't do that. We're still over the cap right now. It's something that we need to keep in mind. So they're, before some contractual restructuring, I'm assuming that the Bears are gonna have to do, and some other cuts to the roster. That we saw Bobby Massey is being reported that they're gonna release him Buster Screen, obviously. So they still have some moves to make, but I don't know how much I believe it that he would be a Bear in 2021. I think he really wanted that money. We've seen things
You would
in the
assume if
past.
he went into free agency, he could probably get a team. We were talking about a couple days ago, an NFC East team, maybe Baltimore Ravens, to pay him $23 million.
There are teams out there just like Baltimore who need a pure number one receiver, just like Allen Robinson is, and it sucks we couldn't give him the money, but we also couldn't really do much about it. This was absolutely the right move by Ryan Pace. You'd have to hope that they haven't had contract extension talks in months, so it'd be awesome if they could figure that out. I don't see it happening. I think Allen Robinson is going to move on. I think he's going to force that hand,
Okay.
and it sucks that the Bears had to do it this way. But I personally don't believe that he's going to be a Bear in 2021. That's my opinion. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's tough to buy into that. But then again, I think you just have to wait and see what happens at the quarterback position, because we've heard ESPN's Jeff Darlington say stuff about Deshaun Watson. No one would offer up more than the Bears for him. In terms of Russell Wilson, there were reports yesterday by Vince Scully that the Raiders are out. The Cowboys, obviously, signing Dak Prescott to a major extension. So you would think that the Bears are the only team on the table there, depending on what Seattle can figure out. And this all configures into what happens with Robinson's future. As easily as I could see it being, the Bears can make a big splash this offseason, as much as it may or may not hurt them on the defensive side of the ball and in terms of draft picks. In order to keep Robinson around, I think I could also see it going the complete opposite way. Jaylen, I'm going to pass it down to you now. You were one earlier who seemed pretty confident that Robinson was going to stick around in 2021. So if you wouldn't mind, justify those thoughts for us and explain why you think Robinson will stick around in 2021.
I think he sticks around one. I think the main reason why we franchise tagged him is we still obviously want to work on finding that quarterback. And, like I said, I always thought the reason why he was doing all this stuff is so, he can get paid. He doesn't actually want to leave. Well, who knows? I don't know Allen personally, but I think he was just doing it to push the standard. We're in an age of social media, so obviously he knows fans are going to see his tweets where he likes to trade me to the Jets for, blah, 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 and this and that. Don't tag me because I'm not going to play stuff like that. I think he's doing that because he wants to get paid. He's been doing this since the regular season when he was liking tweets and stuff like that, and he was obviously still playing. Obviously, you could tell he was a little frustrated because, he's playing, a very violent sport where he could easily get hurt one play and, he's missing out on millions of dollars.
It's like the Dak Prescott argument where you got to take care of your guys.
Like
they finally did it. They did it way too late. The Dallas Cowboys did after Dak had that season-ending injury, and you would hope that the Bears could get it done. At the end of the day, this just at least buys them time to see how the offseason plays out, see where the quarterback position is at by July, and I would hope if the Bears can offer Allen Robinson some dollars, at least somewhat similar to what other teams would offer, that he would accept that, because he said in the past he wants to spend his career in Chicago. His foundation does great things here, but you would hope that this wouldn't go down that ugly rabbit hole.
Yeah, also, like I said, Pace is usually good with retaining his guys. We've seen it with Kyle Fuller. He was coming off of a very good year, and we didn't know if he was going to get cut in that offseason. He put a transition tag to see what his price was on the market, and we ended up matching that. Now, I think it would have been a terrible idea to put a franchise tag on Allen Robinson because, like you said, a wide receiver needy team could have easily gave him $25 million a year. And, right now we don't have that type of cap space when we don't even have our starting quarterback on our roster. So, Pace did the right thing, franchise tag him, give him some more time to, find his quarterback and also come to agreement with, your best weapon on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, it should be really interesting to see how this plays out. I think at the end of the day, this really just buys the Chicago Bears time to work on the quarterback position, work on making some more cuts to retain cap space. And I would surely hope by some point, depending on where these contract talks are, that the Bears would try and delve back into that, because Robinson saying that he would return to Chicago surely gives me hope. But let's talk a little bit about, as much as we don't want to, and as much as we've talked about this in the past, let's talk about what the Bears could get for Robinson if he did decide, as Zach said, to force his hand and try and move on. there's a lot of interesting pieces that the Bears could get back for this. Possibly a good offensive tackle, possibly a high draft pick. So Parth, I'm going to start with you. You take a look at what some of these teams that need wide receivers could offer, possibly some first, second round picks, possibly a player like Orlando Brown out of Baltimore. So what type of compensation do you think you could see the Bears receiving for Allen Robinson?
I do like Orlando Brown. That would be a nice trade. I feel like the Bears get a position of need, and so the Baltimore Ravens fix their wide receiver problems. But I would love to get a first rounder for Allen Robinson. I think that just helps the Bears out. Even if they want to trade for Watson, I think they could use that first rounder.
It's just more that they can use in a package for a quarterback. But then again, you probably wouldn't trade Allen Robinson if you figured you were going to bring in a very nice quarterback.
Exactly. So if Watson, but then it's also up to Allen Robinson. Even if, let's say, if Watson or Wilson are coming and he still wants out, then we can't do anything about that. But at the end of the day, if we can get anything out of him, which we will, I'm happy with that. I'm happy that we didn't just let him walk. So at least we can get a first or second round out of him.
I believe that the Minnesota Vikings last year, they got a first round out of Diggs, right?
Yeah, they got a.
Okay, then I would expect pretty similar. I would expect a late first rounder, something early on in the second round. If it was worse than that, I would be a little bit disappointed. You would probably want a pick in the top 45, I would say, for Robinson. If it got anywhere outside of there, that wouldn't be too great, ideally. But, someone like an Orlando Brown could be nice if they could go straight up player for player. That would help both teams, as you mentioned, Parth. But ideally, I think the reason this franchise tag was slapped on him, even though it came to this point, it shouldn't have come to this point. I was saying it all last offseason. Pay him $18 million now and you'll be fine. He probably would have accepted it at the time. And then Keenan Allen, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods gets paid. And here we are in this predicament. But I think the reason, once again, I'll say it again, it buys the Bears time. At this point, I think you've got to be fully focused on getting those two guys, Watson or Wilson. We know Watson wants out. I truly believe that Wilson would be fine with leaving. I don't think you would put out 4 teams that you want to go to unless you could see yourself going to them realistically. And I don't think Seattle would pick up the phone unless they were willing to trade him. So we'll see how things continue to get there. Mike Silver of NFL Network yesterday said things were getting, quote, frosty in Seattle. But I think this buys the Bears time. If they did trade him, I would hope for a pick in the top 45, maybe an Orlando Brown type deal. But I think you've got to put all your attention now leading up to the draft on getting your franchise quarterback, whether that's trading up higher in the first round, whether that's trading for Russell Wilson, trading for Deshaun Watson. The Bears need to make something happen desperately, more desperately than I've ever thought so in the past. And that's even for Allen Robinson to stay, not even sign an extension, because we know how frosty, I'll use the term again, it is between him and the Bears' front office right now. So, Zach, I'm going to pass it to you. If the Bears did end up moving on from Robinson, what type of compensation do you think they could end up getting, and what would you like to see?
Yeah, so when the news broke about Orlando Brown, I think it was a month ago, or around a month ago or something like that, he said that he wants to play left tackle, I believe.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's his main position. So, I don't know what would happen with Charles Leno, but that would be a move that I would want to make 100%. And especially like you said, if you can get, I think absolutely you need to get a top 45 pick. If you don't even pick up the phone. Like, don't even talk to another team about that, because Allen Robinson, I
personally think it should be a late first rounder. I think some people could argue second rounder, but
I think so too.
Yeah.
Like you said, I am biased. This is, a Bears podcast, but I think it's very arguable that you could make him a top 6, top 7 wide receiver, especially with Chris Godwin being tagged by the Bucs as well. Those two were the top 2 free agents, I would say, other than Dak. But like you were saying, there's so many things to go into this, and I believe the Bears with this franchise tag have until July 15th to extend if they so choose to. Otherwise, he's locked in for the 2021 season on the franchise tag. So,
or we could see a holdout ensuing.
Exactly. So in terms of compensation, you're going to need a lot back, because that's our main source of offense. And if you're a team looking at that, if you're desperate for a wide receiver like Baltimore is and other teams in the league, they're going to have to be willing to give up something, just like the Bears are going to have to be willing to give up things for a quarterback. So we'll see what happens. Like we're going to keep saying it, but there's so many things to go into this. So we'll keep everybody updated, but it'll be a very interesting offseason. See where this goes.
It could go so many which ways, but I think the three of you here with me can agree right now. The best way to approach this, if you're the Bears, is just to continue to hammer Seattle's phones and hammer Houston's phones. I think the best way you can get Allen Robinson to stick around and possibly even sign an extension is to bring in the best quarterback that he could ever play with in his career, a Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson type player. Jaylen, you're pretty confident that Robinson's going to stick around no matter what. But if the Bears look to trade him, if there was a holdout type situation, what type of compensation could you see Chicago getting back?
Oh, my mic went on mute. I would agree with you guys. Like, try to get like a late first, maybe mid first. That's what I'm taking at least. You know, a second is cool, but I think he's worth it first. If Stephon Diggs or if the Vikings got a first round pick for Stephon Diggs, and he wasn't even a Pro Bowler at that point, and they had the same amount of stats. If you could compare last year's Stephon to this year's Allen Robinson, the stats are very comparable. And they got a first round pick for him. Then I'm pretty sure we can get a first round pick for him. Especially in the.
I think it'd be pretty smart if you're Ryan Pace to just decline all calls that don't include a player that we could very much so use or a first round pick.
Yeah.
If it got to that point, of course.
Yeah. Usually Pace is like good with that. Not a lot of teams get over on Pace unless you're the Jaguars, but that's a different story for a different day.
Well, we shall see how this Allen Robinson saga continues over the next couple of months. While this is a sigh of relief, I know we all have some pain still deep down with how this situation has poorly played out. So we will keep you guys posted on everything that goes on with Robinson here. Do us a favor before you go. Drop a like and subscribe for Bears content every day of the week, wherever you are listening. And we will keep you guys posted on all Bears offseason news. If you would like more content from us, head over to our website, beardown.com. We're posting columns, articles, and blogs every day to keep you guys posted on everything that's going on with the Bears this offseason. Definitely will be some articles up on Allen Robinson in the coming days. So be sure to head over to our website if you want to see the great people that work behind the scenes for us. See what they have to say about the situation because they deserve recognition as well. If you would like to find the podcast on Instagram and Twitter, you can go to @BearDown on both platforms. That's where we do our bi-weekly giveaways, monthly, not weekly. We're not making that much YouTube monetization money yet. Bi-monthly giveaways, trying to get back to you guys as much as possible. You can also see sneak peeks of guests who are coming on, help us decide what to record on, and it's a great way to interact with us. And finally, you can find the links to all of our social media pages down in the description. All four of us are Instagram and Twitters. You can see our thoughts on the entire National Football League, all of Chicago, and all of professional sports. So be sure to go give us some follows on those platforms. Once again, just another great way to interact with us. Parth Shaw, Jaylen McClinton, Zach Rimbos. Feels good to have the gang back together. Still feeling a little tedious and tied up based on this whole situation because I know this isn't the end whatsoever. But any last words before we close this one off?
Hopefully it's the end. Hopefully the saga is over. We don't hear anything from Allen Robinson except that he's happy and excited to play for the Bears. But, knowing the Bears, it's probably not over. But, yeah, it's great to record again. Hopefully the news and the Bears stuff just starts kicking up, and then we can just start pumping out some draft content for you guys.
Yeah, same here. It's definitely going to be a long off season. I think it's 2 more weeks until free agency. I think next week the tampering period starts. I highly doubt the Bears sign any big free agents because we have no cap space at all.
I was going to say, I don't think they're really big players in free agency whatsoever. So
hopefully Pace can do what he did last year, sign some key veterans that can help us on cheap deals, like he's been doing it for the last couple seasons. So who knows? But that's about it for me, Bear Down.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting one. A lot of things to go into it, but we're going to keep everybody updated. We'll see what happens. This is make or break for the Bears front office especially, but especially that defense. We're running low on time, so going to be very interesting to see what happens this offseason, and let's continue it and bear down.
Yeah, Jason Leeser just tweeted out an interesting tidbit about this Robinson situation, saying that it's much more about respect than money. I mean, obviously, Robinson isn't having any trouble paying anything but he wants the Bears to show respect the same way as we all do. He wants his money, obviously. So we'll see how this all plays out. It gives the Bears until July 15th to get a deal done, so we really shall see if this happens. I have no clue what to expect, but we will keep you guys posted right here. So once again, be sure to follow all of our social medias, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff, because we'll be back bringing you guys content every day of the week. Guys, it's been a pleasure to be your host. Once again, my name is Chris Malpe, and Bears fans, as always, do us a favor and stay safe and bear down.